If you have dreamed of a snake recently, stop everything you're doing and pay attention to what I'm going to tell you now. This dream was not by chance. It was not something from your head. It was not because you ate too much before sleeping. This dream is a direct alert, and it may be the most important warning you will receive this year. Because there is someone near you, very near, who is acting behind your back at this exact moment. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly who this person is, how they operate, and what to do from now on. So stay here with me, because this revelation can change your life. Let me ask you something. How many times have you looked at someone, felt a discomfort in your chest, but ignored it? How many times did your body give you a sign that something was wrong, but you thought, no, I must be exaggerating? How many times did you swallow that chill in the stomach after a conversation with someone who was supposedly trustworthy? Well then, this is exactly the game the traitor plays. He counts on your silence. He depends on your good faith. He feeds on your kindness. And the dream with a snake appears precisely when you have already ignored too many signs. When your conscious mind refuses to see, your spirit takes control and sends the message in another way. I am going to show you in this video something that very few people know. I will reveal to you the 5 infallible signs that a dream with a snake is a legitimate spiritual message and not just any nightmare. I will show you how to identify the traitor by their daily behavior, using both biblical wisdom and real data from behavioral psychology. And at the end, I will deliver to you the exact step-by-step to protect yourself spiritually and emotionally. But attention, the 3rd sign that I am going to reveal to you is the most dangerous of all, and almost no one talks about it. So stay until the end. Before continuing, I need to ask you something quick. If this theme makes sense to you, if you have already gone through betrayal by someone close, or if you are feeling that something is not right around you, give a like to this video now. This helps the channel greatly and makes it so more people who need this message can find this content. Agreed? So let us go. Let us start with the basics. Why a snake? Of all the symbols that exist, why does the dream choose precisely this animal to alert you? This is not a coincidence. The snake is the universal symbol of betrayal since the most ancient times of humanity. In the Bible, in Genesis chapter 3, it was the serpent that deceived Eve in the Garden of Eden. She did not arrive threatening. She did not arrive showing her teeth. She arrived speaking beautifully, asking soft questions, planting doubts. And that is how the traitor acts in your life. He does not arrive shouting. He arrives smiling. Now, what does science say about this? Modern neuroscience confirms that the human brain processes threats during sleep in a way that the conscious mind cannot do during the day. Researchers from the University of Rome published studies showing that during REM sleep, the phase where we dream with more intensity, the brain accesses deep emotional memories and assembles patterns that we ignore while awake. In other words, your brain is literally analyzing the behaviors of the people around you while you sleep. And when it detects a threat, it shows you in the form of a symbol that you cannot ignore, the snake. And here is a datum that few people know. The human brain has a structure called the cerebral amygdala, which is responsible for processing fear and threats. Studies show that the amygdala is up to 3 times more active during REM sleep than during the day. This means that while you are sleeping, your alert system is functioning at maximum power. Your brain is scanning all the interactions you had, all the micro-expressions you saw, all the tones of voice you heard, and assembling a risk map. When this map identifies someone dangerous, it projects this threat in the form of a dream. And the snake is the chosen symbol because the human being has an instinctive response to serpents that comes from millions of years of evolution. Think with me. You are sleeping and suddenly a snake appears. You wake up with your heart racing, sweating, frightened. Why does your body react with such intensity to a dream? Because that is not just a dream. It is an alarm. Your nervous system does not differentiate a real threat from a symbolic threat during sleep. And when this alarm rings, you need to pay attention. Now I am going to reveal to you the 5 signs that your dream with a snake is a true spiritual message. And pay close attention to the 3rd, because it is the most revealing of all. The first sign is the clarity of the dream. Common dreams are confused, fragmented, mixed. You wake up and barely remember. But when the dream is a message, it is vivid. You remember the colors, You remember the scenery, you remember the sensation. If you dreamed of a snake and woke up remembering every detail, as if you had lived that for real, this is the first sign that it was not just any dream. The second sign is repetition. If you dreamed of a snake once, it could be emotional processing, but if you dream twice, 3, 4 times on different nights with snakes in different contexts, pay attention. Repetition is the way the universe uses to tell you, you still have not understood the message, so I will repeat it until you understand. Now the third sign, and this is the one almost no one talks about. The third sign is when in the dream the snake does not attack you directly. It is hidden, under the bed behind a piece of furniture, coiled in a corner of your house. When the snake is hidden in the dream, this means that the traitor in your life is disguised. He is not that person who fights with you openly. It is that person who smiles in front of you and speaks ill behind your back. It is that person who knows about your plans and secretly roots for your failure. And the fact that the snake is hidden in the dream is the most important detail because it tells you something crucial. This person is near, very near. Probably it is someone you consider a friend, someone from your family, someone from your work. It is someone who has access to your life. If you are getting chills hearing this, write in the comments, "I received the message," because this confirmation is not just for me, it is for yourself. It is a commitment you are making with yourself to stop ignoring the signs. The fourth sign is the emotion that remains after the dream. You wake up and even knowing it was a dream, the anguish does not pass. You spend the whole day with that heavy sensation, as if something bad were about to happen. This residual emotion is your spirit telling you that the message is still active, the alert is still on. And the fifth sign is the most subtle of all. It is when after the dream in the following days, something strange happens with someone close, a message that this person sends at the wrong time, a disproportionate reaction to good news that you give, a different behavior that before you did not notice. After the dream, your eyes open, and you begin to see what was always there. Now I need to talk to you about something that will connect all of this, because it is not enough to know that the dream is an alert. You need to understand how the traitor operates in daily life, to be able to identify them. And here is where psychology and spirituality meet in an impressive way. Behavioral psychology identifies a very specific profile that repeats in treacherous people. And look how interesting. This profile matches exactly what the Bible describes. In Proverbs chapter 26, verse 24 and 25, it is written that he who hates disguises with his lips, but in his interior harbors deceit. When he speaks in an agreeable manner, do not trust him, because there are 7 abominations in his heart. Look at what the Bible is saying. The traitor speaks beautifully. He is agreeable, he is sympathetic, and it is exactly this that psychology confirms. People with manipulative traits tend to be extremely charismatic. They know how to say what you want to hear. They praise at the right time, agree with everything, show themselves available. But behind this facade, there exists a hidden intention. And here in Brazil, we know this type of person well. It is that work colleague who lives praising you in front of others, but when an opportunity for promotion arises, he goes there and speaks ill of you to the boss. It is that relative who hugs you at the Sunday barbecue, but when you leave stays gossiping about your life. It is that friend who asks about your projects with an air of interest, but in truth is measuring if you are growing more than him. It is that person who always appears when you are well, but never answers the phone when you need to vent. And look, this is more common than you imagine. A research from the Institute of Psychology of USP pointed out that the vast majority of adult Brazilians have already gone through at least one situation of significant betrayal of trust by someone close throughout life. I am not talking about romantic betrayal only. I am talking about betrayal of trust. That friend who used information of yours against you, that family member who sabotaged you at an important moment, that partner who acted behind your back. This happens with much more frequency than we would like to admit. And the pain is so great precisely because it comes from whom we did not expect. Let me give you some practical signs to identify this person in your daily life. And this here is gold, because they are patterns that repeat. First, the traitor always minimizes your achievements. You tell good news and he responds with, "Ah, cool," without any enthusiasm. Or worse, he immediately changes the subject or tells something about himself to divert attention. Second, he knows your weak points and uses that in a subtle way. He knows what your insecurity is and finds a little way to touch on that point in apparently innocent conversations. Third, he is never present in your worst moments. When everything is well, he is there. When you need real help, he disappears, gives an excuse, is busy. Fourth, and this is crucial, he shares your information with other people. You tell something in confidence and later discover that other people already know. When you confront him, he minimizes, says that it escaped without wanting to, or that he did not know it was a secret. Fifth, he competes with you in a veiled manner. He needs to have something equal to or better than yours. If you buy a car, he comments about his car. If you take a trip, he tells about his trip that was cooler. There exists a constant comparison, but always disguised as casual conversation. If you are identifying someone in these descriptions, pay attention, because now I am going to show you what to do from the moment you identify the traitor. And this is the most important part of the video. Before that, if you are being impacted by this content, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Every week I bring revelations like this, and I do not want you to miss any. So let us go to the practical part. What to do when you discover who the traitor is. The first thing I need to tell you is, do not confront directly. I know that your desire is to go to the person and say everything, but this is exactly what they expect. The traitor, when confronted, victimizes himself. He turns the game. Suddenly, you are the villain of the story because you are unjustly accusing someone who only wants your good. Do not fall into this game. The correct strategy has 3 phases: strategic silence, gradual distancing, and personal strengthening. In the first phase, strategic silence, you stop sharing personal information with this person. Do not talk about your plans, your dreams, your problems. When they ask, you give vague, generic answers. This does 2 things. First, it cuts the supply of information they used against you. Second, it makes them uncomfortable because the traitor needs access to your life to operate. In the second phase, gradual distancing, you begin to reduce contact in a natural way. You do not need to fight. You do not need to give explanations. Just keep becoming less available. Take longer to respond to messages. Do not accept all invitations. Create new routines that do not include this person. This is what psychology calls establishing limits in a non-confrontational manner, and it is extremely effective. In the third phase, personal strengthening, you invest the energy you spent with this person in yourself. Here is where spirituality enters with total force, because when you strengthen yourself spiritually, you create a protection around you that no negative energy can penetrate. And I need to talk about this in a practical way, without empty mysticism. Spiritual strengthening is not just praying and waiting for things to resolve themselves. Spiritual strengthening is making conscious decisions every day that align your life with a larger purpose. The first practice that I recommend is what I call the nightly gratitude inventory. Every night before sleeping, you write 3 good things that happened in your day. It can be simple: a tasty coffee, a good conversation, the sun that appeared. This is not cheap positive thinking. Neuroscience shows that this practice activates the prefrontal cortex and reduces the activity of the amygdala, which is the region of the brain responsible for fear and anxiety. In other words, by practicing gratitude, you are literally reprogramming your brain to focus on what is good and protect yourself from what is toxic. The second practice is morning silence. Before picking up the cell phone, before seeing messages, before entering social networks, you take 10 minutes to stay in silence. It can be meditation, it can be prayer, it can be simply staying seated, breathing. This silence creates an emotional shield for your day. You leave home centered, balanced, and it becomes much harder for someone to destabilize you. The third practice is the most powerful and the most difficult: forgiveness. I know it seems contradictory. Someone betrayed you, and I am talking about forgiveness? Yes, but not the forgiveness we usually think of. It is not pretending that nothing happened. It is not going back to trusting blindly. It is letting go of the weight. It is understanding that carrying anger, hurt, and resentment against the traitor only harms one person: you. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the other. It is a gift you give to yourself. There is a psalm that illustrates this perfectly. Psalm 37, verse 1 and 2 says, "Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb." Look at what is being said here. Do not spend your energy with those who do you harm. Time takes care of it. Life takes care of it. And meanwhile, you take care of yourself. And I want to deepen this, because many people confuse forgiveness with weakness. To forgive is not to be a fool. To forgive is not to let the person return to the same place. To forgive is an intelligent, strategic decision of preservation of your own mental health. Science proves this. Studies from Stanford University show that people who practice genuine forgiveness have significantly lower levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. In other words, holding a grudge literally sickens your body. High blood pressure, insomnia, digestive problems, chronic headaches. Many of these conditions are directly linked to the emotional stress caused by unresolved resentment. So when I talk about forgiveness, I am talking about letting go of the rope. Imagine that you and the traitor are each holding the end of a rope, pulling in opposite directions. While you hold on, you are spending energy, hurting yourself, wearing yourself out. Forgiveness is simply letting go of your end. Let the other fall with their own weight. You do not need to carry this burden. And there is a fourth spiritual practice that I want to add here, which is extremely powerful. The prayer of protection before sleeping. It does not matter your religion. It does not matter if you are Catholic, evangelical, Spiritist, if you practice Umbanda or Candomblé, or if you simply believe in a higher force. Before sleeping, close your eyes, place your hand on your chest, and say out loud or mentally, "I am protected. No negative energy has power over me. I only allow in my life that which does me good." This declaration is not magic, it is intention. And intention is the most powerful force that exists in the universe. When you declare your protection, you are programming your subconscious to recognize and reject any threat, whether you are sleeping or awake. Now I want to go back to the dream with a snake, because there is a detail that I still have not spoken of, and that can completely change your interpretation. Where the snake appears in the dream matters a lot. If it appears inside your house, the alert is about someone from your family circle or very intimate. If it appears in your workplace, the alert is about the professional environment. If it appears on a path on a road, it means there is someone trying to hinder a journey you are starting, a new project, a business, a change of life. And there is more. The color of the snake also carries meaning. A green snake usually represents envy. A black snake represents something hidden, something you still cannot see. A yellow or golden snake can represent betrayal motivated by money or material interest. And a red snake can indicate that this betrayal involves feelings, romantic relationships, or passions. I know that many people will say that this is superstition, but I ask you, why do practically all cultures of the world, from the Egyptians, passing through the Greeks, through the Brazilian indigenous people, to the African traditions that so influenced our culture, why do all of them associate the snake with betrayal and hidden danger? There is no coincidence when a symbol repeats in civilizations that never had contact with each other. There exists a universal truth behind it. And this universal truth is simple. The human being has the capacity to perceive threats before understanding them rationally. Your body knows before your mind. Your spirit feels before your heart accepts. And the dream is the channel where this perception manifests without filter, without censorship, without the ego getting in the way. Therefore I tell you, if you dreamed of a snake, do not ignore it. Do not treat it as nonsense. Do not wait until the betrayal manifests in a painful way to then act. The warning has already been given. The door was opened. Now it is up to you to enter. I want to tell you a story that illustrates all of this. A woman of 42 years, here from Brazil, always very dedicated to her family, worked as a teacher in a public school. She began to dream of snakes repeatedly for 3 weeks, small snakes, many of them, scattered through the living room of her house. She was frightened but did not know what to do with that, until a very close friend, who frequented her house every week, whom she treated practically as a sister, was caught speaking ill of her to a neighbor. telling intimate details, financial problems, things that only she knew. The teacher was devastated. But later came the clarity. The snakes in the dream were scattered through the living room, which was exactly the place where she and this friend sat to talk. The dream was showing with precision where the threat came from. After she distanced herself from this person, the dreams stopped completely, and her life began to improve in aspects she did not even imagine. She received a promotion, began to sleep better, her anxiety decreased, because when you take the toxic person out of your life, it is not just the relationship that changes. It is everything. And there is another story I need to tell. A man of 55 years, businessman, owner of a small construction materials store in the interior of Minas Gerais. He began to dream of an enormous snake, black, coiled on the counter of his store. He dreamed this 3 times in 10 days. On the 3rd time, he woke up so disturbed that he decided to investigate. He began to pay more attention to the behavior of the employees. And he discovered that his manager, a man who had worked with him for 8 years, a man in whom he trusted as if he were family, was diverting money from the register for months. Small amounts that went unnoticed, but that added up represented an enormous loss. When he confronted the manager with the evidence, the man fell into tears, asked for forgiveness, said he was going through difficulties. And here is the lesson. The traitor always has an emotional justification. He always has a sad story to tell when he is discovered. This is part of the manipulation. The businessman fired him, reorganized the financial management of the store, and in the following quarter, the revenue increased. The money that was disappearing now stayed where it should stay. Do you perceive the pattern? The dream warns, reality confirms, and when the toxic person leaves, life flourishes. And here goes something that I want you to engrave in your heart. You are not obliged to keep anyone in your life out of obligation, out of custom, or out of fear of being alone. Loneliness is not being without people around. Loneliness is being surrounded by people who do not root for you. That indeed is loneliness. And it is worth more to have 2 or 3 true people than 20 who stab you in the back. Before closing, I need to talk to you about one last aspect that many people neglect. After you identify and distance yourself from the traitor, there exists a period of mourning. Yes, mourning. Because you are losing someone you believe to be true. And this pain is real. Do not minimize it. Allow yourself to feel, cry if you need to cry. Stay in silence if you need to stay in silence. This process is part of the healing. But understand that on the other side of this mourning there exists freedom. There exists lightness. There exists space for new people. People who really vibrate at the same frequency as you. People who add, who celebrate your victories, who cry together in your defeats. These people exist, and they will arrive when you open space by removing those who do not deserve to be there. I'm going to leave you with a final reflection. Think of the snake once more. It sheds its skin. It renews itself. This dream did not come only to alert you about someone. It came to invite you to shed your skin as well, to renew yourself, to leave behind a version of you that accepted less than you deserved, the version that tolerated disrespect for fear of conflict, the version that pretended not to see so as not to have to deal. That version has already fulfilled its role. Now it is time for you to become who you really are. Stronger, more conscious, more protected. If this video touched you in some way, tell me in the comments what was the dream with a snake that you had. Tell me where the snake appeared, what it was like, what you felt. I read every comment, and many times I can help you interpret with more depth. And if you know someone who is going through a difficult situation, who is feeling betrayed or surrounded by false people, send this video to that person. Sometimes the message they need to hear is exactly here. I see you in the next video, and remember, God does not show you the snake to scare you. He shows you the snake to protect you. The revelation has already been given. Now, the decision is yours.